We had been together for 7 years, 2 of which we were married. Ariana and I had always talked about waiting to have kids until we were financially stable. We thought we were being responsible, building a strong foundation. Things were good for a while. At least I thought they were. After our 2nd anniversary, we decided it was time to start trying for a baby. It felt like the next natural step. I was excited, picturing our future as parents. Looking back, I can't believe how blind I was. The signs were there, but when you're in a relationship, it's easy to overlook them. I thought we were just going through some normal ups and downs. A few months passed and I felt optimistic. I thought everything was going well, but I had no idea what was coming. One night, I was home relaxing, scrolling through my phone. Ariana had been acting strange lately on her phone more than usual, but I didn't think much of it. I figured she was just chatting with friends. But things started to shift. She began staying out later. "I'm meeting up with friends," or "I had to stay late at work," she'd say. The excuses piled up, and the more she said it, the less I believed it. A small voice told me something might be going on, but I didn't want to listen. I trusted her. We were married after all. I didn't want to think the worst, but the distance between us kept growing. We'd be in the same room, but it felt like there was an invisible wall between us. I tried talking to her, but she kept pulling away. Then came that night. I was already in bed when she came home late. It wasn't the first time, but something felt different. I heard her quietly come in, trying to be as silent as possible, but I was awake. Something felt off, and I couldn't ignore it. She slipped into bed beside me, and I could feel the cold space between us. I turned to her, hiding the confusion in my voice. "Where have you been?" She froze for a second before offering the same excuse. "Work ran late." She didn't even look me in the eye when she said it. That's when it hit me, the first real red flag. Something was wrong, but I couldn't bring myself to confront it. I wanted to ask more, to press her for the truth, but I didn't want to start a fight. I wasn't ready to face what I was starting to suspect. Things had been getting worse. Ariana was going out more and more, and when I tried to ask her about it, she'd either avoid the question or get defensive. I didn't want to be that guy, the paranoid husband accusing his wife of cheating. So I kept my doubts to myself, trying to convince myself everything was fine. But deep down, I think I already knew what was happening. I just didn't want to admit it. I didn't want to believe that the woman I loved, the woman I was trying to start a family with, would do something like that to me. Then one night, it all came crashing down. Ariana had told me she'd be working late again, and I was just sitting there, this feeling settling in my gut that something wasn't right. Have you ever had that gut feeling like you just know something bad is about to happen? That's how I felt. Like the calm before a storm, but the storm was already here, just waiting to break. I couldn't shake it. I just felt so uneasy. It was like my brain couldn't stop spinning with all the signs that had been adding up. So, I did something I never thought I would. I checked her phone before anyone judges me. I know it was a messed up thing to do. I knew it wasn't the right way to handle things, but at that point, I was desperate. I needed to know what was going on. My trust in her had been slipping, and I didn't know how else to find the truth. I grabbed her phone from the counter, my hands shaking, and unlocked it. As soon as I started going through her messages, I felt like my heart was beating out of my chest. I don't know why, but I kept reading them, hoping I was wrong, hoping maybe I was just imagining things. But there it was, plain as day, all the proof I needed. She'd been texting some guy, Derek or something. They'd been seeing each other behind my back. From what I could see, their relationship was way more than just friendly. My heart sank. I felt like the floor had just dropped out from under me. I couldn't breathe. I just sat there staring at her phone, reading the messages over and over again. Like maybe if I read them enough times, they'd stop being real. But they weren't going away. It was real. Ariana had been cheating on me. That night, I waited for her to come home. I didn't even know what I was going to say to her. I just kept replaying all the lies she'd told me in my head, every excuse, every moment I let slide. I was numb, but there was this cold fire burning in my chest. I had the truth now, and I knew it was all going to change. When she finally walked through the door and saw me sitting there, she knew instantly something was wrong. I could see it in her eyes. The way her breath caught in her throat, I didn't waste any time. I just showed her the phone and my voice cracked as I asked, "What the hell is this?" She froze for a second. I thought maybe she tried to deny it, but she didn't. Instead, her face crumpled and she started crying, really sobbing. It hit me like a punch to the gut. I stood there waiting for some kind of explanation, but all she kept saying was, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean for this to happen. I didn't mean for this to happen." That was the line that really got to me. How do you not mean for something like that to happen? How do you cheat on someone by accident? I wasn't buying it. "I'm done," I told her, my voice low but firm. "I want a divorce." She lost it. Then she started begging me to forgive her, asking me to go to Coop's therapy, saying everyone makes mistakes. But I wasn't about to sit in therapy with someone who'd been sneaking around with another guy for months. The thought of it made my stomach turn. I looked her dead in the eye and said, "No, this isn't something we can fix. You've broken my trust, Ariana. I can't go back from that." I saw the shock on her face, like she didn't expect me to be so resolute. But I knew in that moment there was no going back. For me, infidelity had always been a deal-breaker. Once trust was broken, there was no rebuilding it. What pissed me off even more was how she tried to act like it wasn't entirely her fault, like she was the victim here. "Everyone makes mistakes," she said, her voice pleading. "Please don't do this." But I wasn't that kind of person. I didn't just forgive betrayal like it was a small mistake. I stood my ground coldly, telling her there's no coming back from this. It's over. The next few days were a blur. I filed for divorce, and thanks to the prenup, it was all pretty straightforward. But Ariana wasn't going down without a fight. She kept calling me, showing up at my door, crying and begging me to reconsider. Even tried to get my friends involved, hoping they'd talk some sense into me. It was pathetic, honestly, but I wasn't going to let her back into my life. No matter how much she cried, no matter how many times she told me how sorry she was, I knew that once the trust was gone, there was no way to get it back. In the end, I was just grateful I'd signed that prenup. It saved me from a financial disaster. I got to keep everything, my house, my savings, because she was the one who messed up. It didn't make the situation any less painful, but at least I didn't lose everything on top of my marriage, and that's how it all started. The end of my marriage and the beginning of the mess that came after. I had no idea at the time just how much emotional damage that whole experience would cause me. Trust me, that part comes later. It's been 3 years now and I'm still dealing with the aftermath, but we'll get to that. Let's fast forward a bit to after the divorce. Like I said, I cut off all contact with Ariana. I wasn't interested in some closure conversation or anything like that. I just wanted to move on. So I changed my number, moved to a different place, and basically disappeared off the map. If I could have erased her from my memory, I would have. It wasn't even about hate at that point. I just wanted to forget she ever existed. Those first few months after the divorce were tough. It's not like I was crying myself to sleep every night or anything, but there was this void. It's hard to explain. When you've been with someone for so long, they become a part of your routine, your life, and then suddenly they're just gone. It wasn't that I specifically missed Ariana, but I missed the idea of what I thought we had. That was the hardest thing to let go of, the life I thought we were building together. I remember one night in particular. I was sitting at home, having a soda, just thinking about how everything had fallen apart so fast. One minute we were planning to have kids, and the next I was signing divorce papers. It's crazy how quickly life can turn upside down, like you're watching everything you thought you knew come crashing down in front of you. But I guess that's life, right? It happens. During that time, I started going to therapy. I wasn't really into it at first. I'd never been the type to believe in that kind of thing, but after everything that happened, I figured maybe it would be good to get some help sorting out the mess in my head. And honestly, it was one of the best decisions I made. My therapist helped me realize that a lot of the things I was feeling weren't just about Ariana's infidelity. There were a lot of other things I'd never dealt with. For example, growing up, I never learned how to express my emotions. In my family, we didn't talk about feelings. You just bottled them up and moved on. So when Ariana cheated on me, I didn't know how to handle it. The betrayal was like all the emotions I'd suppressed for years just exploding at the same time, and I had no idea what to do with them. Therapy helped me process it all. Anyway, enough about that. This is where things get interesting. 3 years passed. I was better. Not completely over it, but better. I focused on work, went out more with my friends, and even started dating occasionally, although nothing serious. I'd think about Ariana sometimes, but not in a I miss her kind of way. More like a I hope she's miserable kind of way. Yeah, I know. Kind of petty, but hey, that's how I felt. And then one day, I was at the grocery store minding my own business, doing my shopping when I saw them. Ariana's parents. I hadn't heard from them since the divorce. So this was completely unexpected. My first instinct was to turn around and get out of there before they saw me. But of course, they spotted me before I could escape. Ariana's mom, Clara, came over with tears in her eyes and an expression that already told me this was going to be a guilt trip. Her dad, Jordan, was with her, looking serious. The tension in the air was thick, even before they said a word. Clara started talking about Ariana right away. Apparently, she'd been in a car accident, a bad one. She was in the hospital in critical condition. I remember just standing there, not knowing what to say. Was I supposed to feel something? It's not like I was happy she was hurt, but I wasn't about to start feeling sorry for her either. Clara kept talking, saying that Ariana had been through a lot, that she was suffering. And then here comes the kicker. She asked me to go see her at the hospital. It would mean a lot to her, Clara said. Despite everything, you were a very important part of her life. I almost laughed in her face. Did she really think that after everything that happened, I was going to go see Ariana? Was she serious? I looked at her and simply said, Ariana is not my problem anymore. I thought it was a pretty reasonable response given the circumstances, but of course, they didn't take it well. Clara's eyes widened and she started talking about forgiveness, about how I should let the past go and show some compassion. Compassion for the woman who cheated on me. No thanks. Jordan, who had been quiet until then, finally chimed in. He seemed calmer than Clara, but he still gave me that I can't believe you're not rushing to her side look. He said something about how everyone makes mistakes and that it would be good for both Ariana and me to make peace. This is where I might have gone a little too far. I was already pretty annoyed that they were trying to guilt me into caring about Ariana, but when Jordan came out with the whole everyone makes mistakes thing, I snapped. I told them that as far as I was concerned, Ariana could rot in that hospital bed. I know it sounds harsh, but that's how I felt at the time. I reminded them that she was the one who cheated, not me. I didn't owe her anything, much less my forgiveness, and I definitely wasn't going to the hospital to pretend I cared just because she'd had an accident. Then I let out what was really bothering me, that they had always defended her, even when they knew she was wrong. They always made excuses for her, as if her infidelity was somehow my fault. By this point, Clara was crying and Jordan was just shaking his head like I was the bad guy in all of this. They tried to say something else, but I wasn't interested in hearing it anymore. I just turned around and left them standing there in the middle of the grocery store. That night, I got a call from my dad. Turns out Ariana's parents had contacted my family to complain about how cold I was to them. My dad was on their side, saying I should have gone to see Ariana to show that I was the mature one. My sister agreed, but my sibling, thank God, was the only one who actually supported me. He said I didn't know just anything, and they were right. Still, the whole thing turned into a big family argument. Even some friends chimed in with their opinions. Some thought I was too harsh, others thought I was completely justified. But honestly, I didn't care what they thought. I wasn't going to feel bad for not rushing to the hospital like I was her savior. Ariana made her choices and now she had to live with the consequences. So yeah, that's my current status. Ariana in the hospital, her parents mad at me, and my own family divided on whether or not I should have visited her. But you know what? I'm not losing sleep over it. After all that drama with Ariana's parents, I thought things would calm down. I wasn't expecting any more trouble, but clearly I was wrong. A few days later, I got a text from my sister Samantha. It was one of those texts you just know is going to bring more problems. It said we needed to talk about what happened with Ariana and that she wanted to come over. I wasn't looking forward to another lecture on how I should have handled the situation, but Samantha is my sister and we're pretty close, so I agreed. I figured she just wanted to give me her opinion and that would be it. Nothing serious, right? Wrong. Samantha arrived at my place and I didn't even have time to offer her a drink before she jumped right into the topic. She started by saying she understood why I was angry, but then went straight to saying I should have gone to the hospital, even if it was just for closure. Closure, I said, shaking my head. I got my closure 3 years ago when we signed the darn divorce papers. I told her straight up I wasn't going to pretend to care about someone who betrayed me like that. What for? Ariana was part of my past, and that's where I wanted her to stay. But Samantha wasn't letting it go. She kept pushing. What if it was your last chance to say something to her? Or what if something worse happens to her? She was practically pleading. I could feel my frustration building. It was like everyone had forgotten what Ariana had done to me. She wasn't some innocent victim deserving of my compassion. She ruined our marriage. I asked her directly, if someone did to you what Ariana did to me, would you rush to their side in the hospital? Samantha went quiet for a minute. And for a second I thought maybe I'd finally gotten through to her. But then she came out with, it's not the same. You guys were married. You shared a life together. Honestly, that's when I was done with the conversation. My jaw tightened and I looked her straight in the eyes. I don't want to hear any more about Ariana, and I'm not going to change my mind. Ariana could deal with her problems on her own. Samantha wasn't happy about that, but eventually she dropped the subject and we started talking about other things. Work, family, whatever. Still, there was this tension in the air, like she was still thinking about the whole Ariana thing, even though she wasn't mentioning it anymore. After she left, I was left with this weird mix of anger and confusion. Why was everyone so obsessed with me going to see Ariana? I didn't owe her anything. She cheated on me and I moved on. Simple as that. But it seemed like everyone else couldn't let it go. A couple of days later, I found out why. I got a call from my dad, and he was furious. From the moment I heard his voice, I knew this wasn't going to be a calm conversation. He told me we needed to talk, and that he was already on his way to my place. That was weird because my dad isn't the type to just show up unannounced. So, I knew something was wrong. When he arrived, he came in like a storm. He didn't even sit down before he started yelling at me about how I had disrespected Ariana's parents and that I should have at least shown some decency by visiting her in the hospital. He went on and on about how he raised me better than that, and how disappointed he was that I was so cold and heartless. At that point, I was just standing there, unable to believe what I was hearing. Why was everyone acting like I was the villain in this story? I tried to explain my point of view, but my dad didn't want to hear it. He just kept repeating that family is important and that I should have done the right thing. And that's when it all clicked. It wasn't just about Ariana. It was about my dad's past, stuff I didn't even know about. In the middle of his rant, he said something I completely wasn't expecting. Apparently, when my parents first got married, my mom cheated on him. I had no idea. This was completely news to me, and suddenly, everything made sense. My dad was so insistent that I forgive Ariana because he had been through something similar. He was projecting his story onto me. I remember just standing there looking at him, trying to process what he had just said. My mom had cheated on him. My dad, the man who had always been the rock of the family, had gone through something similar to what happened to me, and he chose to stay with her. That's when I lost my patience. I didn't yell or anything. but I was completely frustrated. I told him straight up, "I'm not you. I'm not going to forgive Ariana just because you forgave Mom." He did not like hearing that at all. He went silent for a moment, clearly pissed off, and then just said, "You don't understand. It's not that simple." But here's the thing for me. It was simple. Ariana cheated on me. I wasn't going to forgive her. End of story. The more we argued, the more my patience were thin. We went back and forth, but eventually my dad stormed out of my house, leaving me standing there wondering what had just happened. We didn't end the conversation on good terms, and I honestly didn't know how to feel about it. On one hand, I understood why my dad felt the way he did. He had gone through his own situation, and I guess he thought that if he could forgive my mom, then I should be able to forgive Ariana. But on the other hand, I wasn't him. I wasn't going to let what Ariana did slide just because he had managed to make peace with his own story. The rest of that week was awkward. My dad didn't call, and I didn't try to contact him either. I figured we both needed some space, but the whole situation left me with a weird feeling. My entire view of my parents' marriage had completely changed. I kept wondering if I should talk to my mom about it, but at the same time, I didn't want to create more drama. A few days later, Samantha texted me again. "You need to talk to Dad and make things right." But I wasn't ready for that. I needed to process everything first. I mean, it's not every day that you find out your mom cheated on your dad and that he decided to stay with her for decades without you having any clue. It messed with me. So that's where things are now. My family's a mess. Ariana is still in the hospital as far as I know, and I'm just trying to figure out how to deal with everything. The only thing I know for sure is that I'm not going back to that past. Ariana can stay there, and I'll move on whether my family likes it or not. Here's what happened next. After the argument with my dad, things were pretty tense. We didn't talk for weeks, which wasn't normal for us. We'd always been close, so this silent treatment was uncharted territory. My sister Samantha kept texting me trying to play mediator, but I wasn't ready. I needed space to process everything, especially after finding out about my parents' history. Anyway, one night I was at home watching TV, trying to relax when my phone buzzed. It was late, so curiosity got the better of me and I opened it. Guess who it was? Ariana, just out of the blue. I don't even know how she got my new number because I changed it right after the divorce. But there she was texting me like nothing had happened. The message wasn't long, just a simple, "Can we talk?" I mean, seriously. After 3 years of no contact, she just pops up with a "Can we talk?" like we're old friends catching up. At first I didn't even reply. I just sat there staring at the screen debating with myself. But of course, curiosity won. So I texted back a simple, "What do you want?" She didn't take long to respond. She said she wanted to clear the air, that she'd been doing a lot of thinking since the accident and that she needed to apologize properly. I didn't buy it. She had 3 years to apologize and now suddenly she decides it's the right time after her parents tried to manipulate me at the supermarket. Yeah, right. No thanks. So I replied bluntly, "There's nothing to talk about. We're done." I thought that would be the end of it, but Ariana wasn't letting it go. She kept texting saying she had things she needed to explain, that she was sorry for what happened, and that she just wanted me to listen. Honestly, a part of me was tempted. I wanted to know what she had to say, what she thought could possibly justify what she did. But at the same time, I knew nothing she said was going to change anything, so I just ignored her. I figured it was best not to respond and just move on. But of course, that wasn't the end of it. The next day I got another text, but this time it was from Samantha. She told me that Ariana had contacted her too, and that she was trying to make amends with everyone. Apparently, Ariana had gone through some kind of deep change after the accident, and now she wanted to fix all the things she had messed up. Samantha, being Samantha, thought I should give Ariana a chance to explain herself. She kept saying, "What harm is there in listening to her?" But I wasn't about to let Ariana back into my life just because she had a near-death experience. I told Samantha to stay out of it, that this was between Ariana and me, and that I wasn't interested in reliving the past. After that, things were pretty quiet. A few days went by and I didn't hear from Ariana again, so I assumed she got the message. But just when I thought it was all over, I got a call. This time it was from my mom. Now you have to understand, my mom doesn't usually call me unless something serious is going on. We're not the type of family that checks in with daily calls or anything like that. So when I saw her name on the screen, I knew something was up. I answered, and she just blurted out, "We need to talk about Ariana." Just hearing that already exhausted me. I felt like no matter how hard I tried to leave that chapter of my life behind, everyone was determined to drag me back. Turns out Ariana had contacted my mom. Yep, she went that far? I guess she figured if she couldn't get to me directly, she tried to do it through my family. And as was typical of Ariana, she managed to manipulate my mom into believing that she was some kind of victim in all of this. My mom started telling me that Ariana had been through a lot since the accident, that she had changed, that she was truly sorry, and that she just wanted to talk to me. I couldn't believe it. I told my mom point blank, "I don't care how much Ariana's changed. That doesn't change what she did to me." But my mom wouldn't let it go. She kept saying things like, "People can grow. It wouldn't hurt you to hear her." Sighed. I was getting increasingly frustrated. It was like no one in my family understood how much Ariana's betrayal had shattered me. They were all acting like it was some minor thing that I should just get over, but it wasn't minor to me. It was my entire life that fell apart because of her. After a while, I just snapped. "Mom, I don't want to talk about Ariana anymore. I'm not going to visit her. I'm not going to talk to her. I'm not going to let her back into my life." I thought that would end the conversation, but then my mom dropped something that left me in shock. "Ariana is dying." Yeah, that's what she said. Apparently, Ariana's injuries from the accident were much worse than I had imagined. She was still in the hospital, and according to my mom, the doctors didn't think she had much time left. My mom said, "That's why Ariana was so desperate to talk to you. She wants to make things right before it's too late." I don't know how to describe what I felt at that moment. It wasn't sadness, but it wasn't relief either. It was this weird mix of emotions that I wasn't ready to deal with. On the one hand, part of me thought, well, that's karma, I guess. But on the other hand, it felt heavy. This person who was once a huge part of my life was about to die, and I didn't even want to acknowledge her existence. I didn't know what to say to my mom. I just sat there, letting the information sink in, my mind racing, not knowing what to think. After a long pause, all I managed to say was, "I'll think about it." I left it at that. I didn't make any promises, but I didn't completely shut the door either. I guess I needed time to process it all. So, here I am now, stuck in this in-between place, not knowing what to do. Do I visit Ariana and give her the closure she's apparently looking for? Or do I stick to my decision and keep her out of my life even if she doesn't have much time left? I don't know, man. It's a lot to think about, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. Part of me feels like the right thing to do would be to give her the chance to apologize, but another part just can't shake the anger and betrayal. I guess we'll see what happens next. I spent a few days just sitting with it all, trying to decide what to do. I kept thinking about what my mom said about Ariana dying and how this might be my last chance to talk to her. It weighed on me, but not in the way you might expect. It's not like I suddenly felt sorry for her or anything, but it's hard to explain. I guess I was just stuck in my own head, debating with myself. It's something I do when I'm stressed, driving aimlessly until my mind settles down. I ended up parked in front of the hospital where Ariana was staying. I didn't even intend to go there. It just happened. I sat in the car staring at the entrance, debating with myself an hour, maybe more, thinking about all the crap she put me through. Every lie, every time she cheated behind my back, all the crying and pleading during the divorce, trying to get me to forgive her. And now she wanted me to show up at her deathbed like none of it happened. It didn't feel right. But still, there I was in the hospital parking lot at 2:00 a.m., thinking about going in to see her. Finally, I said, "Screw it," and got out of the car, walking toward the entrance. I wasn't even sure if they'd let me in at that hour, but the Nurse at the front desk was nice and pointed me toward her room. Before I knew it, I was standing outside her door. I didn't go in right away. I just stood there looking at the door, my hand on the handle trying to psych myself up to go through with it. Part of me still wanted to turn around and leave, but I'd come this far. I figured I might as well finish what I started. When I finally opened the door, Ariana was lying in bed, hooked up to a bunch of machines. She looked different, not just because of the accident or the fact that she was sick. There was something else. She looked tired, worn down, like the years had taken more out of her than I'd realized. It was strange seeing her like that after so long. She didn't notice me at first. She was staring out the window, lost in thought. When she finally saw me, her eyes went wide like she couldn't believe I'd actually shown up. For a few seconds we just stood there looking at each other in silence. I didn't know what to say, and I don't think she did either. Finally, she broke the silence. "I didn't think you'd come," she said, her voice soft, like it was hard for her to speak. I shrugged, trying to appear indifferent. "Well, here I am." There was another long pause, and then Ariana started to cry. Not the dramatic, over-the-top crying she used to do when we were together. It was different, quieter, more real. It caught me off guard because I honestly didn't expect her to still have any genuine emotions left for me. "I'm sorry." Her voice trembled. "I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I needed you to know that I'm sorry." I stood there, not really knowing how to respond because what are you supposed to say to that? I wasn't going to tell her it was okay, because it wasn't, but at the same time I hadn't gone there to tear her down. "I don't know what you want me to say," I finally replied, my voice flat. "You broke my trust. You broke us. That's not something you can just apologize for and expect to go away." Ariana nodded, still crying. "I know," she whispered, her voice shaky. "I know I hurt you. I was selfish and stupid, and I don't expect you to forgive me. But I am sorry for everything, for ruining what we had, for not being the person." Hearing her say that was strange. Part of me felt like I should be angry, but I wasn't. I wasn't angry anymore. Maybe I'd been angry for so long that I just ran out of it. It still hurt. I still carried that weight, but the rage I used to feel just wasn't there anymore. I looked at her, really looked at her, and I realized how much time had passed, how much we both changed, and in that moment I understood something. Closure wasn't about her, it was about me. I've been holding on to this anger for years, thinking it was protecting me. But really, it was just keeping me stuck in the past. Maybe seeing her like that, so vulnerable and broken, made me realize that I didn't hate her anymore. "I don't hate you anymore," I said, surprising myself with how calm I sounded. "But I'm never going to forget what you did." Ariana nodded again, tears still streaming down her face. "I wouldn't expect you to." We sat in silence for a while after that. I didn't know what else to say, and I think Ariana was too exhausted to keep talking. There was this strange sense of finality in the air, like we both knew this would be the last time we'd see each other. After a while, I got up to leave. Ariana looked at me, her eyes still red and puffy from crying, and said, "Thank you for coming. It means more to me than you know." I didn't reply. I just nodded and walked out of the room. As I walked back to my car, I felt this strange sense of relief. It's not that I'd forgiven her, but I didn't feel as burdened anymore. More like this time, for real. That chapter of my life was closed. I sat in my car, took a deep breath, and, for the first time in a long time, I felt like I could move on. And you know what? It felt damn good. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.